I run the Institute of Population Ageing, and what we're primarily concerned with is seeing population ageing not so much as the ageing of the population, but the change in the population composition, whereby across the globe societies are going from predominantly young to predominantly old. And that doesn't have implications just for the number of older dependents, but also for changes in the proportion of the productive workers within that society to support those dependents. And this is an example of work we're doing in Africa, looking at implications for farming. We also work within an analytical framework. Many people look at population and look at its impact. We're trying to understand what the dynamics behind this are. For example, the dynamics of the demographic transition and how through manipulating fertility, productivity or migration, we can influence policy. This happens within certain institutional structures, the labour market, financial, health and social care, but most importantly, it is mediated by collective social goals. But these social goals were invented in the 20th century and may not be appropriate for the world of the 21st century and its dynamics. Many societies, for example, have the goal of increasing general prosperity, intra- and intergenerational fairness, and social cohesion. So to give you an example of how we operationalise this through our research, Sustaining Longer Lives at a Time of Falling Fertility is one project where we're using a UK dataset with 1.8 million occupational pension records. And putting that into our analytical framework, you can say one of the fears in the UK about our changing population composition is that it will threaten economic decline and economic burden. And therefore the UK government is tackling this through trying to increase productivity, working with the labour market and financial institutions to attain its collective social goal of increasing general prosperity and intra- and intergenerational fairness. And like most OECD governments, it's aiming to increase late life economic activity as a way of increasing productivity. And the justification for this is that the age of the life expectancy, which is the blue line at which men had when the pension age was set, which is the green line, was only 65. And yet, as you can see, it's predicted to hit 85 by the 2050s. However, one of the problems with this is that the government and other governments are ignoring differential longevity, and therefore they're going against one of the collective social goals, which is intra-generational fairness. For example, our work on the dataset has suggested that between our low socioeconomic and health groups and our high socioeconomic and health groups, there's up to 11 years of difference. And we can see that in this graph where we compare the blue line, which are healthy, high-income males, and the green line, which is the low-income, unhealthy males, when we look at the proportion of 65-year-old men expected to survive after 65. The kind of power that our data set has that means that we can do some very novel research. Here we've taken a manual employee who has 12 years life expectancy at retirement. If he retired in normal health, we'd add 1.8 years. If he had a healthy lifestyle, 4.6. If he had a high income, 4. But interestingly enough, if he did a non-manual rather than a manual job, that would only add on 7. The other thing we're doing, and we're the first group to do this, is to look at the impact of locality on the regional effects of mortality. And here we've mapped the 20 most affluent locations against the 20 most deprived locations across the UK. And you can see that controlling for all other variables, life expectancy shows very little variation in the 20 most affluent locations, but significant in the most deprived locations. So that if you live in one of the most deprived locations in Wales, you can have up to 22 years post-retirement, compared with only 12 if you happen to live in one of the most deprived in the southwest. This research has already had significant dissemination, both in public policy outlets and in academic journals. And finally, we're also using this model to our other work, which is on migration, on environment and society, and on access to food. And we're doing this through international collaborative multidisciplinary projects in Africa, Asia, and Latin America, because global population ageing is a true global phenomenon. Thank you.